Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you Game 2 of a best of 5 between Tmanplays and Darkneutron in the semi-finals of the Division 1 playoffs of the WARNO League. Today they are playing on Airport Duel, and on our left in the red team we have Darkneutron playing with the 1st UK Armoured, and on our right in the blue team we have Tmanplays playing with the 24th US Infantry Division. Both of these divisions very good in their own way. I can't help but feel that TMAN has managed to manipulate the picks and bans in his favour so far. He did manage to have 35th in the last game, which is a very strong division, and then follows it up with the 24th in this one, whilst Darkneutron's sitting on the 1st UK. 24th really nasty, mainly due to the Strike Eagles, and it's something that honestly, up against the 1st UK, you can take advantage of a lot because the 1st UK's AA is somewhat limited to javelins and tracked rapiers. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. But for now, let's have a quick look at what's going down. We have the Terriers Para leading the way with the Carl Gustavs. They have the Rover Milan Para there as well. There's going to be the Foxes, of course, that are going to be spreading out across the map. We have Milan's 2s following up with a couple of javelins. There's also Warrior Milan with armoured rifles, Chieftain, Mark 11 and a Rover CP heading down to Bravo. Tmanplays, he's going to be opting for the triple sniper opener, and then he's got some stingers, he's got military police, he's got the engineers dragon, he's got a fire team with AT4 and a MUT CP at the start. Tornado F3 flying right over all of his units early on. PVAD's actually going to be opening up onto that tornado as he almost crashes into the mountain. M1 IP going to be part of the setup. 2 ITOs, some more engineers, a M2 Bradley, the National Guard M2 Bradley with the fire team, Chaparral and the engineers. So the sniper here has managed to get into the high rise, actually ends up opening up. He doesn't put it on return fire. That could be a big mistake, allowing that sniper to go down. If he could keep the sniper alive up in that tower, that'd be fantastic, but inevitably that is going to lose out to the Terrier Palos now. But what we want to see here from Darkneutron is him really take advantage of his forward deployment. We could see that T-Man with the 24th, it doesn't really have much good forward deployment, but in the long game will definitely sort of win out due to the Strike Eagles and the abundance of Abrams that he can bring in over time. Whereas Darkneutron, what he needs to do is really get some value out of these Foxes, and so far we haven't really seen much to that effect. The ITO is going to get taken out at least. The Terriers Palas have got pretty good position in the town, but with the M1 IP now coming up and all of these military police and the engineers dragon engaging at range, they're going to be taking a lot of DPS. Rover Milan Para trying to get a cheeky side shot into the M1 IP. The M1 IP is not having any of that, and the Rover Milan Para taken out. But yeah, you see these Terrier Para struggling because all of these engineers and the military police are getting their M16s on target, and that is an awful amount of infantry DPS. Milan 2 at least managing to kill off an M2 Bradley, but so far not too much really in favour of Darkneutron out of these initial engagements. The engineers here actually getting whittled down a little bit too much, both of those down to 3 and 5 men respectively, but Eagles hanging about looking to mirror the Tornado F3. Fox definitely has an opportunity here to maybe run around this bottom side and start trying to do some damage on the reinforcing roads. I'm surprised to not see this one be used more aggressively, but maybe he's just going to leave it here so that he can protect Bravo from being capped. But meanwhile, the Rover CP going to be moving into Foxtrot, and Darkneutron really looking for an early conquest lead in this map due to his forward deployment. When you do use forward deployment to your advantage, it is very important that you do cap the sectors as well so that you can put the pressure on your enemy with those conquest points. Otherwise, it just allows your enemy to sort of build up without having to really worry about that sort of initial opener from your opponent. So military police plus fire team up against Terrier's Padda. The fire team are going to struggle on their own, but the military police actually have a pretty nasty setup. They have 5 M16s, they've got 3 M14s, and then 2 M60 machine guns. So the Terrier's Padda here, actually not in a very good position, but currently not being microed to stop, and therefore allowing the Fox to get its Radin on target and do plenty of damage. Meanwhile, the Gazelle AH-1s moving over to this side will be able to use their rockets to clean up this infantry very quickly because there's no AA. And the trouble with this map, Airfield, is it's a very wide map for 1v1. So you really have to make sure that you prioritize certain areas on the map, and there'll be areas where you're very, very loosely defended. I mean, you can see how both sides on this bottom side really didn't invest much down here. Like the Fox is on its own and the H1F Cobra is just able to come over here and clean things out because there's no AA. And so both players investing into those fighters early on because they're a lot easier at, you know, providing air-to-air across the map. And so the Tornado is going to come in here and try and take care of the H1F. And it is not going to do so in the first pass, and it has been evac'd as the F-15 comes in. Will the F-15 take down the Tornado? The Tornado does have a decent amount of ECM, but that is a lot of missiles, and the F-15 gets the job done. Now can the Tornado F-3 get one back? Has one more missile at range. Here comes the last. Finds the kill. 1 for 1. Losing an Eagle, arguably worse than losing an F3. So I think Darkneutron will be happy with that trade. And now the H1F trying to escape. In the center, meanwhile, the Chaparral making short work of the Gazelles. I think there was also the Stingers here as well. Yeah, the Stingers taken down a lot of these Gazelles as well. The Tornado does survive. On the top side, Chieftain Mark 11 trying to work its way into this sector, but there is 2 dragon teams there, and these guys do have well, actually they're just standard dragons. I thought these were dragon 2s, but they're just standard dragons. The standard dragons, they have limited range, 1,575 meter range and only 14 penetration. So the Chieftain Mark 11 is actually just going to be able to like tank those in the front armor pretty easily. But interesting engagements on this bottom side so far. Both sides were trying to get helicopters into position to take care of each other's infantry, but Darkneutron hasn't really opted to reinforce this as quick as TMAN has. So TMAN's going to get there again faster than Darkneutron is, because Darkneutron is just sending those couple Warrior Milans with gun groups, whilst TMAN is actually investing 3 of these engineers with dragons, plus those military police units, which are good for taking on enemy infantry squads. So the Gazelles trying to get their rockets on target, and this is what you want to use them for, just harass enemy infantry. These are pretty cheap at 20 points. They only come with 12 rockets, but if you can get them close enough before you open up with the rockets, those rockets can actually decimate squads very, very quickly and very accurately. Warrior Milan, unsupported, running into 8 gems, not a place it wants to be. If you can get close enough to the dragon squads, then they won't be able to fire, but there's 2 of them, so one is always going to be far enough away, and the Warrior Milan goes down. But a little bit of a lull in the action after what was quite a exciting start, especially on that bottom side. The M1IP almost allowed to go down to the Chieftains. Now Ito starting to fire away. The Warrior Milan does get picked off. The gun groups did manage to get into position though. So the gun groups will be able to help hold back the engineers. But I think here, TMAN, he's specifically bringing in the Dragon squads here and the Itos because he knows that both of those units are more than adequate for taking on the warriors, which are going to be like the main threat to his infantry throughout this game. Whilst the chieftains, they can be dealt with by Strike Eagles, and they can also be dealt with his own tanks, so his M1 IPs here. And all the while, I mean, the dragons are still going to be chipping away at those tanks over time. But the nice thing about using these is they are very cheap. So all of these infantry are only 40 points. The gun group here, they're 25 points, but they're only a 4-man squad. So they're currently getting completely outgunned here. Both of those gun group will not last very long. And here comes the first of the Strike Eagles, and the first strike hits the Chieftain Mark 11. Now the thing is with these Strike Eagles is they come equipped with 4 laser guided bombs, allowing them to do 2 runs each. And now it's coming back around for another go, straight into the second Chieftain Mark 11, and that goes down. All the while the F-15 comes across and intercepts the Jaguar GR1. Strike Eagle limps away after taking a hit from some of Darkneutron's AA. But that is really big losses for Darkneutron, and we'll start to see that be even more the case as the game moves on, I imagine. Because we've got to that point now where TMAN's sort of settled in. He's going to be allowed to just bring in all of those Strike Eagles, and it's really going to be on Darkneutron to create a critical mass of javelins or even track rapiers that he can then use to catch those out. And that's quite a large investment that I don't think he really has the points to invest in right now, because his sort of trades haven't been significant enough at the start of the game. He didn't really get much value out of the Foxes, which is really what you need when you're going for that sort of forward deployment play. And losing the Tornado F3 like that is kind of lazy. Warrior Milans are going to get absolutely toasted on this top side by the M1 IPs. Things not looking good across the board here. The M1 IP of TMAN does manage to smoke itself off in time. Anytime I see TMAN in trouble, it seems like he's always reacting to it very quickly. But Darkneutron, just that split second too late, it seems, a lot of the time, and it is costing him. Those military police gonna want to get out of there. Run away, boys. Now the Milan team actually managed to clip the M1 IP here. It just managed to get out of range in time. It would have been a really nice kill for Darkneutron. What Darkneutron needs to do at this point is really utilize his advantage on this top side. Like you can see here, infantry wise, Darkneutron has made a big dent, and he's able to potentially completely secure Zulu. He can back it up with units that can keep the M1 IPs at bay, so things like the Milan 2 squads and stuff, and then it's going to make it difficult for TMAN to really invest into the pushes here. Oh, the Tornado F3 missed both of its aim 9s and gets hit by the Stinger. Now the F15 coming in as well on its backside. F15 showing mercy, but here comes the Strike Eagle. That shows none as it kills off the Chieftain Mark 11. Tornado F3 hoping that one of these missiles lands on target. Strike Eagle down, huge kill for Darkneutron. There is only 2 of those available, and it comes across and takes out the F15 as well. What a hero Tornado that is. Young's here showing us how it's done. Dodging the missiles of the Stingers on the way out as well. Huge, huge air kills for Darkneutron. That could potentially swing things around a little here for Darkneutron in this game. Remove the threat of those Strike Eagles. It may just give him enough room to breathe on the ground and start trading back, but TMAN overall still in a pretty strong position. M1 IPs are nice and healthy. There's a very limited amount of tanks on the board for Darkneutron because most of them have been killed by Strike Eagles so far. So there's still another Strike Eagle up the sleeve of TMAN. You won't be happy about losing that first one though, that's for sure. Now Jaguar GL1 coming in with the bombing strike, knocks that M1 IP out, but a nasty hit from the Stinger kills off the Jaguar. That's unfortunate. Those Jaguar GL1 HE2s, they come with a really nasty payload of HE bombs. I think it's the 450 kilogram bombs, and they just wipe tanks like these M1 IPs. And yeah, that was a really nice bombing strike, but unfortunately he has not had luck when it comes to AA. Like, his AA generally misses, and then TMAN's is just hitting perfectly this game. And it was the same in the last game as well, where like Darkneutron was having trouble landing his shots with his AA. But yeah, nice hit there by the Chieftain at least. Unfortunately, did end up going down. The Apache is pretty tough to deal with. SAS Patrol here going to be falling back from this engagement with the military police and the engineers. Looks like the engineer Dragon there managed to push forwards, kill off the Rover CP as well. So, concentration of forces for Darkneutron on the top side, which has allowed him to take Zulu, but he hasn't really been making any plays on this bottom side, and it seems like TMAN here, he's got an M1 IP in position, maybe going to try and make a play for Bravo, as the M1 IP and the Chaparral is starting to move towards the center of the airfield. If he can grab all these forces and go and take Bravo for free, then that will give him a +2 advantage. So TMAN's going to be looking for that, and that will force Darkneutron here to make an aggressive play. So you can see what I was talking about earlier, where Darkneutron needs a concentration of either javelins or track rapiers in order to shoot down Strike Eagles. And it looks like Darkneutron here, he has seriously invested in these track rapiers, so that next time a Strike Eagle comes in, he can shoot it down. And he might have to sacrifice a Chieftain Mark 11 to make that happen, but that would be a sacrifice he's willing to make. The trouble at the moment, in the meantime, is that we have, what, 5 track rapiers, 2 javelins, and then, you know, 1 Chieftain, 2 warriors, and 3 infantry squads. He's got more AA than he has actual fighting forces on the ground. So he's putting himself in a position where TMAN is still building up and will be able to get a ground advantage as well because of that. So TMAN playing this really nicely, not investing into his second Strike Eagle at the moment, not using it at least. And now the M1 IP going to be shifting into this bottom side where there is nothing defending for Darkneutron. Now TMAN's not going to know that. He's going to always assume that there's maybe something here to stop him, but he'll at least take the cap and be happy with that, allowing the engineers to continue to move forwards on this bottom side. So there's the +1 and then the +2. Now Phantom 2s are going to want to engage this tornado, I imagine. Warrior Milan in the center ends up going down. Military police engineer combination now moving forwards, trying to get the better of the armored rifles here. And the armored rifles, not really sure how I expect them to perform here. But the Tornado GL1 certainly going to throw that in favour of Darkneutron. Tasty bombing strike, couple of infantry kills. Very, very good. Now the Phantom 2s looking for the Sparrow long-range missiles onto the F3, but end up getting taken down by the tracked rapiers. Darkneutron also going to lose his to the Phantom 2 HE bomber. His infantry, that is. Now the Apache hanging around on the top side. Gonna find more kills onto the Warrior Milans. TMAN being very careful to try and not let that get killed. Tornado F3 doesn't miss its aim 9s this time around. Apache goes down. Nicely done. Yeah, killing off those Apaches, another important piece of the puzzle. But can the Phantom 2s shut down that tornado. Doesn't look like they will. Oh, last missile, not going to get there in time. And now we have the chieftains arriving once again. So, 2 Chieftain Mark 11s, Chieftain Mark 11 Command. We're all going to be trying to take shots at the same time so that they can kill these M1 IPs one by one. And the Chieftain Mark 11 did end up taking a decent hit there from the M1 IP, so gonna want to be a little bit careful about how he plays this out. There's no need to drive forwards unnecessarily when he has the Chinook there to fix them up. So he's going to keep fixing them, keep trying to pick off more M1 IPs, and the more M1 IPs he can pick off, over time he'll eventually be able to win back this top area. But at the moment, as I mentioned, this massive investment in AA, it really needs to pay off in order for it to make a difference in this game. And at the moment, whilst that's been the case, he's relinquished a lot of ground to TMAN that he initially had due to his forward deployment. So things not looking good as the +4 continues to tick up. It's going to be 8 minutes till victory for Tmanplays. All the while, a full M54 has been used up. He's come in with 1,250 supply. Good for fixing up those Abrams, making sure the infantry is top notch. The M2A1 Bradleys at the moment forcing the Chieftain Mark 11s to smoke. Oh, that TOW 2 managed to sneak its way all the way through. And that's going to be another serious amount of time that Darkneutron is repairing. Now the scouts arriving on the bottom side. Not the best of tactics to be standing in the road. With the warrior coming along to help provide fire support onto the engineers, but the M1 IP also doing the same. And the scouts are going to go down, but the Tornado GR1 able to get the bombing strike off at least, so that will clean out, or not, the infantry squad. Will the chaparral shoot it down? Oh. Almost. That tornado didn't do a single point of damage to that engineer. That was crazy. I have no idea how that engineer just randomly survived. The bombs must have just landed perfectly that it didn't hit them. That was incredible. Regardless, this warrior Milan, 1 armoured rifle here, not going to be able to do much on its lonesome. This bottom side is getting more and more built up for TMAN. I think TMAN has realised that this is where he kind of, if he can reinforce this area, he'll almost always have an advantage for the rest of the game. Whereas like on this top side, yeah, he's like microing this and being a nuisance against Darkneutron, but ultimately securing these 2 sectors here is huge for him throughout the rest of this game. Oh, now the Challenger 2 has arrived. Such a beautiful tank, but so bad in WARNO. Makes me sad. Doesn't have very good HE. The penetration, not really that good for taking on enemy tanks a lot of the time. Tornado F3. Hey, where's all the AA? And why is it not firing? Trick Brief is just that bad. Also, what happened to all of them? I swear he had 5 of them, and there's only 3 left. They must have been picked off along the way, or he's spread them out. That might be one on the top side there. The Strike Eagle coming in with the bombing strike ends up killing the Challenger 2 and not even get shot down by that AA. That is just a little bit depressing to see, I'm not gonna lie. At least the Phantom 2 gets shot down, but yeah, the whole idea of building up all of this AA is to get rid of those Strike Eagles. And that Strike Eagle came in, got a free kill, got out. And that is soul destroying for Darkneutron, I imagine. But a big push coming through. Chieftain Mark 11s making a play for the airfield sector. Do you manage to take out the Ito? Take out an Engineer Dragon. Going to be able to take on the second Engineer Dragon if they get close enough. Rifles are going to be backing them up, so that's going to be well timed. But yeah, I can't help but feel this is very vulnerable to AA now, because it's moved away from the big AA net he created on the top side. You can see he's staying close, so the dragon can't be used. Within 300 meters, HGMs can't be fired, so just drives right up to them, gets both the MGs on target, and that's all he needs to do in order to kill these off. Needs to do the same now against the Ito, and if he can take out the Ito and the Stinger, that's going to be really good in the center there. Meanwhile though, TMAN going to be cleaning out the armored rifles on the bottom side with the Cobra for free. And it seems like Darkneutron, he's kind of given up on trying to take that top sector at Zulu. He's opted to go for this mid push, and it has managed to get him into Echo. But where does he go from here? If he tries to push across to the other side of the airfield, he puts himself in harm's way of 80 gems. If he turns around now and goes back to Zulu, T-Man has developed his position on that top side. So it's going to be even harder now to get back in there. He could try and push on this bottom side, and he has got the two Chieftain Mark 11s moving over here. But there's no real infantry to scout for him. He's got no recon here. So that's going to be tough. At the moment, the options are looking slim. And T-Man creating a trap of a bunch of Ito jeeps, so that whenever these tanks try and maneuver, they have innate gems head their way. So like in this case, for example, this Chieftain Mark 11, bam, right in the rear armor, taken out. Can't avoid the HGM, probably already used its smoke trying to avoid an Ito previously. T-Man just creating a net to catch all of these Chieftain Mark 10, well, Mark 11s out. Now the M1 IP is moving into position. They are nice and healthy, whilst the Chieftain Mark 11s are not, which is going to make it difficult for Darkneutron to trade. T-Man always finding the answer. And we've got to remember, like on this bottom side, for example, those Chieftain Mark 11s start moving in, the Strike Eagle comes out again. And we also know that that T-Man has a lot of Phantom 2s up his sleeve, so they will probably likely be used to take out the Tornado F3. But the Tornado GR1 is shot down there by the double Chaparral, double Stinger on the bottom side. Plenty of AA here for T-Man at least. Here comes a little bit of a push. Again, still no recon, still no infantry, so the engineers able to fire freely with their dragon, and the chieftains cannot see them at all. And that Tornado, getting a little bit too close for comfort, does get taken out by the Chaparral. Now the Stinger going to be able to help clean up the Lynx AH7 as the Abrams, just about managed to get his smoke off in time, although I think the Lynx already missed. There we go, both Chieftain Mark 11's gone down, the Lynx AH7 is dead. Darkneutron throws in the towel for this one. That is 2-0 now for Tmanplays in this best of 5, and yeah, it really just came down to, in my opinion, the fact that Darkneutron didn't really take full advantage of his forward deployment against the 24th. The 24th, it doesn't have the best forward deployment in the world, and you know that eventually you're going to have to deal with the Strike Eagles. So getting as far forward as you can, then forcing T-Man to pay for every inch he wants to take back is really the way you got to play that. And in this case, it felt like T-Man was allowed to do it almost too easily. Now you can't, like these Strike Eagles, they're just so difficult to deal with. You can see this one got like 2 Chieftains and a Challenger. That's like paid itself off easy peasy. But it didn't really come down to the Strike Eagles themselves in the end. The Strike Eagles kind of baited Darkneutron almost to overinvest in AA in a position where he stopped pushing. And that was really a problem moving forwards. And you see the M1 IP is getting plenty of kills, the H1F Cobra getting loads of kills where there's no AA. the Itos, the way that like TMAN really set up his deck to bring in like Itos and stuff, and the dragon teams, not even the dragon 2s, like they're just normal dragons. He's utilizing them because he knows that the first UK is weak to those sorts of 80 gems. The like Warrior Milan doesn't really have that much armor, so you can pick them off quite easily with those sort of reasonable AT or AP 80 gems and such. So yeah, I think TMAN here just sort of outplaying Darkneutron over time, and Darkneutron not taking advantage of his foxes initially. Loads of opportunity for those foxes to get into the backline, but just not quite managing to do so. Unfortunate, but a good game. We'll have to see how things pan out in the third game here. TMAN really showing his prowess, though. Darkneutron's going to have a hard game on his hands. We'll have to see how it goes. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.